the reason I think this is so important is because it's a new evolution in uh, this AI generated art, and it's already here. So we're talking about a couple of months. We were working almost entirely within 2D images, and I think for the creative industry, especially for, let's say entertainment on the level of Disney, Marvel, Netflix, they use so much 3D CGI that there's multiple studios that are actually working with the main studio to produce all that content over the course of a film now, when it used to just be one. And the workload is such that it could actually bankrupt the company. In fact, I think it was, Life of Pi, whatever the movie was when he was on a boat with a Bengal tiger.
Yeah, it was Life of Pi.
Yeah, they made a directorial decision at the end that caused the company who made the tiger to have to invest so many overtime hours that they went out of business because they actually had to front the bill for it. But imagine if the director comes in and just says, I think the tiger needs more stripes. And that's all he has to say, and now the tiger has more stripes. I think you're in a completely different world in terms of creativity and how we actually sculpt things for movies, rather than this multi-step, multi-layer, multi-process. Um, Now it's just as simple as the awesome 2D art that Patrick had brought up. So, thoughts?
I'll jump in and just say I think this is really cool, and the caliber of the product, you said it could be a little bumpy, but still you can see the potential that's there. For me, it's not just the art world that's going to benefit from this. Not just the entertainment industry, but you think about transitioning to gaming and how much more realistic the gaming can be. But then other commercial industries like architects or even manufacturers of any
Mm-hmm.
items out there who want to get a model of what they're creating or see it in different contexts, see it work different ways. Such a better, easier, cheaper, faster, and safer way to do it than the old school method of creating this stuff from hand and testing it with physical testing.
Yeah, there was software. So, do you know Maya? It's 3D kind of CADs or editing software. But basically, they put out an AI plugin years ago called Dreamweaver. And what it would do was it would find the least amount of material you would need to actually composite an object. And I believe one of the use cases was actually taking weight off of a plane. So all the parts that they could replace, and almost everything kind of looked like this, like it was like a woven thread, because it was using the smallest amount of material possible. So all those air gaps kind of gave it like an amoeba, almost fungus type look, but it was sheet metal. And what was so interesting about that is no human would make that shape. You wouldn't even think of it, right? So I definitely see what you're saying there. The possibilities for architecture are literally out of this world. You could imagine buildings that would look to the naked eye completely structurally unsound, but are actually sturdier than the ones that we could build today with nice straight lines. So,
I'm just waiting for Tim to take this back to drones.
Oh, exactly. For drones. I mean, remember, simulation's important, right? So, and the industry is pretty much in its infancy of introducing simulation, something that's really helped aviation and aviation safety. Class D simulators in the FAA world are equal or better than the aircraft. And most of us in the military and even in commercial airlines, 10, 15 years ago, we wouldn't have even thought of doing 100% of our training requirements in a simulator because they just weren't there. You didn't have that immersion that you have because of the amount of time and cost for 3D modeling.
right.
And now we have the ability to do that not only for commercial aviation that can pay top dollar for a 737 simulator, but for drone simulation. And then we can take it all the way back to the beginning of those drones flying into the NFL stadium, right? If we have more simulation and training for our remote pilots, Part 107 pilots, it makes them better pilots, more experienced pilots, where they can look at their flow of where they're going to fly today, and they see the stadium and go, oh, wait, I forgot, I can't fly over there, right? If they would have done the simulation first.
Wow, my brain is exploding right now. So you just said so many things that I want to comment on, Tim. Number one is, I actually know a company. I met a company when I was in DC that's doing simulation kind of in the counter drone space to do the kind of the red blue team stuff, right? So really cool for the military, for commercial applications. Also, vertical takeoff landing, the eVTOL crowd, the advanced air mobility crowd, they're going to need sims. And I think that's going to be significant to training, right? And then, of course, with the BVLOS arc that you mentioned and the training, I think advanced training is going to be needed for beyond visual line of sight, whether drones or eVTOL. I think that's going to be key. What I was thinking about was my brain went to the dark side after Pat's earlier comments on security, because I was just thinking, so many companies are, not so many, there's a handful of companies doing great work in the AR, VR space and 3D modeling right after inspection. So they'll use a drone, they'll do the scan, they'll download it through the software, and then, maybe with like Key AI, QII.ai is an example out of Canada. I was on our show earlier, Dawn of Drones, in January this year. So that's a great application for AI.